Thank you.
There's some fresh water there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Mr. Middleton, as we're being recorded here today on the record, would you please state your first and last name and then spell both your first and last name for us?
Brendon Middleton, first name Brendon, last name Middleton.
And Mr. Middleton, how far did you go in school?
I got my GED.
Okay. And let me ask you, at this time, are you currently residing at the Hillsborough County House of Corrections?
Currently, yes.
Okay. And when's your release date, sir?
I just found out yesterday I'd get out in July.
In July. Okay. I'd like to ask you, with regards to, that's where you're living now, but where were you living back in March of 2020?
The Welcome Home in
Welcome.
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Manchester, New Hampshire. Is that on Concord Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And let me ask you, when you were also one other date. So we've talked about March of 2020. I want to jump forward a little bit in time and talk about July 6th of 2022. Where were you living then?
I believe I was homeless around that time.
Home at that point?
Either welcome home or homeless. I've lived there on and off a couple times.
Okay. I'd like to ask about a name, Brittany Bedard. Do you know who she is?
I know the name and kind of remember her face, yes.
Okay. And what about Travis Beach? Do you know that name?
I do.
Okay. And how do you know him?
I met Travis through work when I was doing tree work at Accurate Tree Service. And Brittany was eventually his girlfriend.
When you met him, Brittany was his girlfriend? Or I'm sorry, you just said
later in
eventually.
time. I met Travis and he was single at first.
Okay. All right. Back in March specifically March 3rd of 2020, did you agree to rent a U-Haul van for Travis Beach?
Yes.
Okay. Could you go ahead and explain to us why did you rent a van for him that day?
To my knowledge, Travis had contacted me. Him and Brittany were dating. They were looking to move furniture from her father's house. They didn't have a card or the money to do so. I've always been told and raised to help my friends and people I care for, so I agreed to do so. I met them at the South Willow U-Haul, or the gas station next to U-Haul. I went to U-Haul, rented the van for them, drove it over to the gas station, met them, and had left it in their hands.
All right. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions about that. The U-Haul, I believe you just said it's the one down on South Willow Street?
Correct.
Okay. And the gas station where you met them and gave them the U-Haul, where was that in relation to, like, the South Willow Street U-Haul?
I believe it's right next door to it.
Okay.
Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there's a store in between, but to my knowledge and what I remember, it's right next to it.
And how did you end up paying for that U-Haul?
With my debit card.
Okay. When you rented it, did you have to fill out paperwork or check off some boxes?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And did you have to go through that before they would give you the keys to the
yes.
van? All right. Did you have to sign for it at one point?
Yes.
Obviously, this was back in March of 2020, so I take it you don't have a copy of that paperwork with you?
No, sir, I do not.
If I could approach, please, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
Mr. Middleton, I'm going to present you with a copy of what's been marked States Exhibit 94 for identification purposes only. And we'll go ahead and take that out for you. You can go ahead and just generally flip through. I'm going to turn the cover page, kind of look at page 1 of the substantive exhibit. Take a minute to look through that and each of the next pages. Take your time. And then I've got a couple of questions for you when you get done, okay? generally, that group of information, do you recognize that as a copy of your contract that you signed for this rental?
Yes.
And when you looked through there, did you see anything familiar, like your name or your license number or date of birth, something like that?
Yes.
Okay. And with regards to the other details of the rental, are they all contained inside that document?
Correct.
Right. Other than the fact that this does not have your hand signature on it, with that difference and the fact that the first page here has got a little red sticker, any other sort of changes from when you remember going through that same paperwork and those same fill in the blank sections as when you see it here?
No, as far as to my knowledge, this is everything that I remember. Yeah.
Right. At this point, Your Honor, I'd ask for the identification to be stricken from State's Exhibit 94, please, and it to be a full exhibit and published to the jury.
No objection, Judge.
All right, the ID is stricken, it's entered as a full exhibit, and it may be published to the jury.
Thank you. Mr. Middleton, I'm going to let you hold on to this exhibit. No, you're good with it.
Okay.
What I want to do is ask you a couple different questions about some of the information that you filled in on this particular rental that's seen there in the documents and the ones that you signed for. And you can look either at what's in front of you, or if you want to turn around and look at the screen, if that's easier to see, let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Middleton, I want to go ahead and start with a little bit of this agreement that you signed for to get this particular U-Haul, and I want to go ahead and go to the very first page of the document if I can, and so that to let you know, and the jury is also going to be looking at the same pages that you're looking at, Exhibit 94, and we're going to look at the very first page. So at the very top, could you go ahead into the area where it says customer information and contact search and tell us a little bit, the name that's filled out, is that your name, Brendon Middleton?
Yes, it is.
And did they spell it correctly?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And with regards to the address that was put down, the 60 Londonderry Road in Wyndham.
So that address was the address on my license at the time. I had gotten out of rehab a couple years before that, and didn't have my driver's license. My friend that lives at that address, very close friend of mine I've known since 6th grade, they had taken me in. Her mother had taken me to go and get my driver's license reinstated, things like that. That is the address I had, or I needed an address to use. That was the address I had at the time.
All right.
So that's what the address they used when I filled this out, because that is what was on my ID.
I understand. That makes sense. Question for you on this is, again, you said that your name was correct. I also want to ask with regards to the phone number on there, that's 603-401-9158. You see that there?
Yep.
Is that your phone number at the time?
One of many old numbers, correct.
Okay. And what about the date of birth, sir? Is that February 14th, 1996?
That is correct.
I wish you a one-day belated birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Going on with continuing into the document, I want to stay here on the very first page again of Exhibit 94, and I want to talk about the address of the rental and where you rented it to. Does it reflect the same place that you just told us a moment ago, the South Willow Street address where you got the rental?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And with regards to the time and the date, is the document accurate in that you got it on March 3rd of 2020 around 3:49 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Moving on to staying at the lower part of, again, same page, first page of the exhibit, I want to talk to you a little bit about the information where it says dispatch. If you see there, what was the equipment number that was assigned to the van that you got?
BE4352W.
All right. And the specific time and date that it got sent out, what was that under dispatch date and time?
March 3rd, 2020 at 5:49 p.m.
Okay. And then finally, with regards to the pickup odometer, and of course you're familiar with what an odometer is, right?
Correct.
All right. And what did the odometer, what was it recorded as reading when this van went to you?
5,092.
5,092 miles?
Yes, correct.
Okay. What I'd like to do now is kind of stay with that first one, and I want to ask you about the difference between when the time went out and when the time went in. So you can stay with the dispatch section, or if you'd like, you can also look at the screen. I want to talk about the return just underneath. So again, are we talking, what's the return date that this van went back to U-Haul?
March 4th at 1:47 p.m.
Okay. So that's the following day?
Correct.
All right. And what was the odometer reading when the van went back?
5,225.
Okay. And so if I could direct your attention to the screen just for a minute, I want to be able to put both the out time and the back time, the out odometer and the back odometer up there for when this van got dispatched out. And just to confirm with the jury, this is the van that you rented. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So let's see, that's 19 hours, 57 minutes for a rental and what, approximately 5,225 minus 5,082, around 133 miles or so? Give or take?
Yeah, I would say so.
I'd like to now, if you would, go ahead and flip over to the second page of that exhibit. Again, staying with Exhibit 95. I'd like to talk a little bit about, there was an additional contact that you listed with U-Haul for the rental, and who was that contact?
Travis Beach.
And the phone number that was put there for Travis Beach, is that you gave that to U-Haul, or did Travis give that to U-Haul?
I believe that Travis gave me the okay to give his name and number for it.
Okay.
Again, I mean, this was a few years now, but to my knowledge, yes, I had the okay to do that, and he was willing to do that as well. So.
And I know you said before that, I believe you testified a few minutes ago, you met him at the gas station to get him the van.
Correct.
All right. Did he go into the U-Haul with you to do the rental?
He might have. I don't exactly remember. I just know that my vehicle was over at the gas station, and I did not leave it unattended, so I don't know if one of them came with me or none of them came with me. I can't exactly remember, but I know of me personally, yes, I went into the U-Haul.
Right. And when you say them, one of them came with you, who are you referring to? Who's
I want to say it might have been Travis, but then again, it could have been Brittany. I don't really remember.
So them is one of those two, Travis or Brittany?
Yes, correct.
All right. Thank you. Skipping now, if you could, I'd like to go to the fourth page, if you would. Oh, you were the authorized driver on that, correct?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to go ahead and, if you could, go to the fourth page for us of the exhibit, and I've also got it up behind you. I would like to ask you a little bit about, again, the customer information. That's your name, again, being listed down there with 60 Londonderry Road of Wyndham. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And separate from that, also, again, the rental out time, is that reflected on there? That March 3rd, 2020?
Yes, sir.
All right. 5:49 p.m. is when it finally went out?
Correct.
Right. Moving a little bit lower, the equipment, where it's listed below where it says equipment, is that same BE4352W that you read before? That was the equipment number back on page 1?
Yes.
All right. And what is the string of letters underneath that?
AJ78147-AZ.
Okay. And are you familiar with what the license plate was on that U-Haul?
No, I do not remember.
Okay. Well, I'd like to go ahead and bring you through a little bit farther into the document. First of all, there is your signature block that would have been down at the bottom that you would have signed on page 4?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to jump now to the next page of the document, page 5. Again, it's got yourself listed as the customer. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. And then the phone number. Again, I want to make sure that that's accurate. That's the phone number you gave before, 401-9158?
Yes, sir.
Skipping along to page 6, if you would, please. I'm going to flip one more. And I want to talk about the rental date time for when it was returned. Do you see that at the top left-hand part of the screen? I'm sorry, the top left-hand part of the page?
Yes.
Where it says rental date and time and then return date and time?
Yeah.
Okay. And could you read for us what the rental date and time was, please?
March 3rd, 2020 at 5:49 p.m. and the return date was March 4th at 1:47 p.m.
And later on that page, if you look a little bit below there, again, down from there and slightly to the left, I wondered if you could go ahead and read us the equipment section where it says equipment before it goes MI out and MI in. What's the equipment information that was listed in your rental?
BE4352W.
And the next string of numbers and letters?
AJ78147AZ.
Approach again, please, Your Honor. So that was AJ78147AZ.
Correct.
Mr. Middleton, I want to show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 100B for identification purposes only. With regards to that exhibit, do you see that same string of letters and numbers in there, the AJ78147AZ?
Yes, sir.
You see that also on this particular document?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Having seen this document, does that help refresh your recollection of what the license plate number was for that man?
Yes, now it does.
And what was it, sir?
AJ78147.
Okay. And the mileage back in where it says MIN, could you read again what that last mileage was, the reading from the odometer?
5,225 miles.
Thank you. Finally, on the next page of the document in front of you, Exhibit 94 still, is that a promissory note?
I'm sorry?
Is that listed as what's called a promissory note at the top?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what a promissory note is?
Not exactly. You'd have to I believe from what I read, it's me promising the money that's owed.
Okay. And that's okay. If you don't know, I don't want you to guess. I just want to make sure that...
Yeah, no, I do not fully understand that.
All right. That's all right. Thank you. With regards to that, though, on this particular document at the very top of the page, is your phone number listed again? And your name, your address of 60 Londonderry Road that you gave in Wyndham. So basically your name, your email, is all of that listed again?
Yes, sir.
And does it also include your date of birth again?
It does.
And then finally, with regards to that same document, if you would look in the middle, sir, of, again, top of page 87, does it specifically list out what the license plate is of the vehicle that was rented?
Yes.
And what does it list?
AJ78147.
Thank you, Mr. Middleton.
Well,
On this particular trip, when you rented this, or not trip, but when you rented the van, at that point, I believe you testified on direct that you then got it to Travis Beach at the gas station. Did you ever see that van again?
no, sir.
Are you the person that returned that van?
No, sir.
When you got him the van, did you get your car back? Or was your
Yes.
car right there, I should say?
Yes, I had parked the van. I had gotten back into my car, and I left, and they left in the van.
And who did you see leaving the van, just to be clear for the jurors?
Travis and Brianna.
Brianna, Brittany.
Brittany, I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure we're accurate.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And was that Brittany Bedard who you were talking about
Yes,
before?
correct. Brittany Bedard.
Did you know Adam Montgomery back
I've
then?
never heard of his name at the time.
And what about Caleb Montgomery back then?
No, sir.
Back then, did you have any idea who they were?
Nope.
Did Travis ever talk about the name Adam Montgomery when he asked you to get this rental for him?
No, sir.
Did Brittany Bedard ever talk about an Adam Montgomery or Caleb Montgomery when you were interacting with her and Travis that day to get this rental?
No, sir.
Just a moment, please, Your Honor. Mr. Middleton, I had asked you about where you lived at a couple different times, not only back in 2020, but also on July 2nd of 2022. On that day, do you recall Manchester police officers coming to talk with you?
I do.
And did you agree to talk with them?
I did.
The rental that we just went through, is that what you talked about with them on that day?
Yes, sir.
And at the end of the conversation, did they tell you why they were asking?
Yes, I had asked them.
Well, hold on, I'm not going to go into it. I just want to know whether or not you told them.
Yeah, I
Or
did.
If they told you why they were asking.
Yes, they did.
Did you know Harmony Montgomery?
No, I did not. I mean, at the time I had heard of what was going on, but I did not know her.
And so at that time, when you rented it, you had no idea what that van was going to be used for, did you?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Middleton. I don't have any further questions for you. I believe defense counsel may have one or two.
Appreciate it.
And good afternoon, Mr. Middleton. I do not have any questions.
Thank you.
So you may sit down.
Appreciate it.
We'd ask for the witness to be excused, please, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
This witness is excused.
Appreciate it. Take care.
The state may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's going to call Ms. Rose